On the show in Wheel Spin, we drive the new Mercedes B-Class. In Going in Style, we visit the Cartier Travel in Style Concours d'Elegance. And on the track, we bring you the action from this year's Prima T1 truck racing. What I have with me today is the B-Class from Mercedes-Benz. In the lineup that Mercedes offers in the Indian market, this B-Class is sandwiched somewhere in between the compact A-Class and the entry-level luxury sedan, the C-Class. Now, Mercedes calls this a luxury tourer, which in turn means that this car with its tall stands, a long and a wide body will offer you plenty of space and, of course, all the conveniences that Mercedes is known for. So if you were to go touring in this car, I think life would be really comfortable, and that's what Mercedes intends to offer its customers. Now, the B-Class has been available in the Indian market for a while now, but this what we have here with us today is the new B-Class. The B-Class is a Mercedes' version of a people mover with an elongated body shape and plenty of space inside to travel comfortably in, with of course all the creature comfort and the Mercedes logo to boot for that extra prestige. The B-Class does fill in the need gap in the Indian market, where premium vans are completely lacking, so the B-Class does have a niche for itself here. In terms of the dimensions, this B-Class really hasn't changed much. The width and the height remains identical, but it's only in the length that it has increased by about 34 millimeters, which means there's more space inside the car. And of course, you get new headlights, the LED ones, which has a follow me function, which means that after you switch off the car, this lights up for a specified period of time to light your way. Nice feature. The wheels too have changed now. This one rides on 16-inch 10-spoke alloys, and the alloys look really nice. But the biggest difference, I think, is to the suspension. Mercedes claims that they have tuned this new B-Class suspension for Indian roads, which means that the ride will be much better than the old one. And of course, the NVH has been worked on, so again, the ride will become quieter. The interiors of this new B-Class look like any other new generation Mercedes car, which is to say that they look very predictable. But again, this doesn't mean that they look bad or it's bad quality. In fact, it looks quite good, it's functional, and these Artico leather wrapped seats look great. The multifunction steering wheel comes in quite handy while you're driving, and the instrumentation cluster here, which is new, looks quite good. And the biggest addition to this new B-Class interiors here is, of course, the panoramic sunroof, which has made the interiors very cheerful, and this is what the old B lacked. If you needed any proof that the B-Class has been designed for long-distance touring, then one look inside will convince you that this is indeed so. There is plenty of space here. In fact, the space has been optimized very well to increase the storage space. Plenty of cubby holes here to keep your knick-knack in. And what really doubles up here as the armrest is in fact a storage box with 2 USB ports. And here you have a nice, cool glove box, which is in fact quite big to keep a lot of stuff in. In fact, everything here tells you that this is a car which you will really like to take on a long ride. This new B-Class, like all facelifts, has a bit of a styling change. The grille, the bumper and the lights are all new in the front, and so are the tail lights and the bumper in the rear. While as inside, the fascia gets a new color scheme and the instrumentation cluster too has been reworked. Inside the car, you will find many things which will please you. Full leather, including the steering wheel, a nice sound system, navigation with reverse parking camera, and of course in terms of safety and driver aid, the B-Class is a complete car with features like lane assist, hill lock, ABS, and the reassuring presence of 7 airbags for any eventuality. At 4.3 meters, this B-Class isn't really a big car, which essentially means that she remains a 5-seater. Well, I would like to make that a 4-seater if you want to travel in comfort. But having said that, I will say that she isn't really lacking in space. Plenty of knee room, plenty of headroom, and even if you are big built, you will be quite comfortable in there. Plus, she has lots of cubby holes, a 12-volt socket here, and an armrest with cup holders. So it's quite well packaged and it should be comfortable on a long ride.
As for the luggage space, you have 488 liters, which can be doubled to over 1500 liters if you fold down the rear seats completely. And the loading position too is comfortable and flat. So in case you are moving houses, the rear section of this B-Class can really come in handy.
What I drive today is the B200 CDI, the common rail diesel unit, the same 2143cc engine which does duty on many other Mercedes model in India, but in this B, of course, it's in a different state of tune, produces only 136 brake horsepower and 300 Newton meters of torque, which is way lower down than what it produces in some of the other cars. But in this car, what is really important is the balance of power and fuel economy. And in the department of fuel economy, this B-Class really scores high. The engine is mated to a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, which is a standard fare here for most of the Mercedes models. And you also get a manual mode here in the gearbox along with paddle shifts. I don't think really paddle shifts are necessary for a car in this class, which is neither sporty nor performance-oriented, but then Mercedes thinks otherwise, so you do have the paddle shifts for quick, easy changing in the manual mode. According to ARI certification, this diesel engine here in the B-Class gives you over 19 kilometers to a litre, which is really good for a car in this class. Because it does offer you a lot of space, it's a relatively big car, can carry up to 5 adults, and it's not bad. 19 kilometers in diesel is a good fuel efficiency really. The company claims that they have worked on the noise and vibration levels in this new B-Class, and after driving this I would tend to agree with it. But it's really the suspension which has improved quite a lot. The ride is now very comfortable and you don't feel the aberrations of the road creeping in into the cabin. And in a car like this, it's the ride that matters over handling, and in this department again, the B-Class is quite nice. Overall, I think that this B-Class is quite an easy car to drive. The compact size ensures that you can park it easily in crowded city conditions, while as on the highway the engine produces enough power to keep you happy. And it's the fuel efficiency which really makes it ideal for long distance use.
While the diesel variant gets this new 2.2-litre diesel engine, the B-Class will also be available with a gasoline engine, the 1.6-litre which churns out 120 brake horsepower and 200 Newton meters of torque. And other than the engine, all things remain the same. The petrol engine returns 14.8 kilometers to a litre, so it's quite acceptable in terms of fuel efficiency.
After having spent some time with this B-Class here, all I can tell you is that unlike many other Mercedes that you see on road today, this is not a car with stunning looks or extremely high performance like some of those AMG badged Mercedes around. But then this is a car which is a practical solution to everyday's problem. Space as well as drivability. This drives quite well, it's got a nice fuel average, and in terms of space, she offers you plenty. And the price tag that she sports of around rupees 28 lakhs really makes it a nice deal, especially if you have long distance traveling in mind.
In terms of pricing, the B-Class will set you back by rupees 26 lakhs if you opt for the petrol variant, while the diesel will cost around rupees 28 lakhs. And these are ex-showroom prices for Delhi. The B-Class will be available only in a single trim for either of the engine options. love your vintage and classic cars, then the place to have been was the Cartier Travel and Style Concours d'Elegance, a collection of the best classic and vintage cars. The event was held at Delhi's Polo Grounds and, as the name suggests, sponsored by the famous watch and jewelry maker Cartier. And this is an event held every 2 years in India and alternates between the cities of Mumbai and Delhi. This is easily one of the best vintage and classic car events, where the collection is handpicked from among the best available and exhibited in different categories. And this year there were a total of 80 entries in the competing class, along with an exhibitor class and of course the motorcycle class, which included both competition as well as the exhibition class. Cars ranged from the American classics of the 50s with large fins, which were the trademark of those days, and included cars like the Chevy Impala, to pre-war cars like the Lanchester and Rolls-Royces and the Bentleys were in plenty, and even a bus with bodywork by the American company Stewart were all present in their pristine glory. And this year there was a special class dedicated to Piccolo Fiat or the small Fiat, and it was a treat to see the small Fiat Topolinos in the 500s fully restored and looking as good as new be a part of this show. In the Indian Heritage category, we mostly had the ambassadors and the Studebakers, which were assembled here in India by Hindustan Motors. This year also saw a category of cars which had their bodywork done by the Anglo-Belgian coachmaker Van den Pla, who were of course the favourites of our Maharajas, and many of their cars were done by them. And this included some of the finest Rolls-Royces and the Bentleys, and even included a rare Minerva Ale of 1933 vintage, which is one of the few surviving in the world today. And what I liked most was the Roadster category. We saw entries like the MGTC and the exotic Morgans and the Jaguars like the XK120, plus of course the Triumphs. And if you are fond of your beauties on two wheels, then you were in for an amazing time. This was not only time to find some very rare motorcycles, but also a time to appreciate how well and painstakingly they have been restored to their original condition. And some of them looked as if they have just rolled off the assembly line, although the info sheet will tell you that it was at times close to a century ago when this indeed happened. And at the end of the day, it was time to choose the winners from this long list. And to give the event an immense credibility, the panel of judges were the most distinguished and included names like His Royal Highness Prince Michael of Kent and Sandra Button, who is the chairperson of the Concours d'Elegance at Pebble Beach, and Italian motorcycle legends like Agostini and F1 driver Riccardo Patrese. The judges might have had a tough job choosing, but it was a delighted crowd of vintage car enthusiasts who greeted and cheered the winners. And the first of the category winners was in the pre-war classic category, and the winner here was the Moon of 1920, a rare car which has been fully restored, and the Moon is indeed a car which you will not see very often. In the post-war classic, it was the 1952 Rolls-Royce Silver Wraith which easily won the category. In the pre-war classic again, it was a Rolls-Royce but a Phantom one of 1938 which was the winner. In the Piccolo Fiats, it was the 1950 Fiat Topolino 500 of Vivek Goenka which was just the best maintained car. In the Indian Heritage, the winner was a 1948 Hindustan 10. And in the roadster category, it was the veteran restorer from Delhi, Tutu Dhawan with his MGTC, who easily emerged as a category winner. And then there was this preservation class in which cars were brought in as they were without any restoration even after many years of use. And the winner here was a Mercedes 290 of year 1935. And in the two-wheeler category, it was the 1926 AJS R9 of Ashish Sharma, which won the veteran vintage category. While as the pre-war trophy went to a 1936 Royal Enfield 500, and in the post-war category, the winner was a 1947 Indian Scout. The overall winner of the two-wheeler category was the 1936 Royal Enfield 500 owned by Parminder Singh. And the overall winner for the four-wheeler category was the 1933 Minerva AL 40 HP of Delhi collector Daljit Titus, which is an impeccably restored piece and is as rare as it gets. End of the day, it was a delight to see so many beautifully restored beauties at one go, and some which were indeed rare ones.
I'm here at the Buddh International Circuit today for an event that really stands out in the Indian motorsports calendar, the Prima truck racing. Tata started this championship last year and there was just one race. This year too there will be just one race and the races are just about to start. There are 6 teams in the fray with 12 drivers who will start on the starting grid today. Truck racing has never been an easy sport, and what is really going to add to the challenge today is the weather. It's overcast and it's raining a bit, and as the race progresses there might be more rain, which will make it all the more exciting and difficult for the drivers out there. Time to take a ringside view and watch the action.
After the huge success of the first ever truck racing championship in India last year, the stage was all set for it to follow this year too. Tata Motors, the initiators of this championship with their top-of-the-range Prima trucks, which are the trucks used here, were back in action this year too at the Buddh International Circuit in Greater Noida. And the circuit wore a festive look with not only thousands of spectators watching these races start, but there was plenty of action in the form of cheer girls and live shows to warm up things before the racing action really kicked in. As the trucks lined up on the grid for the 16-lap race, the eventual winner, Oliver Stewart, started from the second place on the grid. But this year things had changed as far as the weather was concerned. Instead of the blue skies and the bright sun that is expected at this time of the year, what greeted the drivers was cold and wet weather, neither of which were ideal for going flat out. But then racing drivers are a different breed. Show them a racetrack and they go about doing their business of putting pedal to metal quite easily. And this is what happened at this championship too. Buddh Circuit lap has been shortened to around 3.5 kilometers for these races, but there was plenty of action around the corners, especially on a wet surface and under heavy braking. These trucks are capable of speeds of over 130 kilometers, and in fact this year the speeds have gone up as well, as these trucks have had a few changes like better aerodynamics and weight reduction to make them faster and more efficient. driver lineup this year consisted of all international drivers who had years of experience racing trucks in the British and the European Truck Racing Championship. But Tata, the main organizers of this event, are planning to promote the sport heavily in India and have plans to spot and train Indian talent for the next season. So chances are you will see some homebred drivers too for the next event next year. As the race progressed, the weather only got worse with the track getting slippery, but the action continued to be fast-paced with the drivers going flat out. But it was the more experienced Stuart Oliver, the winner from last year, who had a distinct edge over the other drivers. He not only led most of the race, but managed to finish on the top step of the podium as well, making not only himself proud, but his team Castrol Vectron as well. It was a grand double for him, winning it all over again. He was followed by Steve Thomas in second place of Team Allied Partners, and Stephen Powell finished third to take the last place on the podium for Team Tata Technologies. End of the day, it was some exciting racing which the spectators got to watch. And if you missed it this year, then wait for the next time around, and I'm sure the action will only get better.
Well, I had a rather exciting day at the BIC watching these monster trucks race each other, and in this clouded, wet conditions, things went really easy for the drivers, but they showed so much skill that I'm really impressed with it. And all I can hope for is to see more of truck racing in India in the near future. Hope you had an exciting time watching this too. See you on the show next week.